Hi, I'm Virginia Del Olmo and I'm the Chief Commercial Officer here at SCANOSS. My journey here has been like a 20 years journey, starting out in the early days of SCA. And a lot of the team here is a team that I've been working with since the start of SCA about 20 years ago. So it's gone from like a point audit way of looking at scanning for open source to now being more transparent throughout the development process. People today think that open source is free and it's safe, but it comes with a lot of obligations from a licensing perspective to a security perspective. Everybody uses it today because it increases the development. It's a lot of good resources out there that are jointly developing on projects, so it's actually very good code. So obvious reasons to use it. But the last couple of years, the whole AI generated code is really changing things these days. With AI generated code, it actually blurs the authorship because we don't know where it's coming from. And when you don't know where the open source code is being taken from, you don't know who developed it, you don't know what obligations, the license obligation that comes with it. They need to have a way of scanning it. They need to have a way of looking deep into the code, where has it been copy-pasted from? Because if you don't know what's in your code, how can you make sure that it's safe? So all these new regulations has put more attention to something that companies should already have been doing, or most of them are doing. But now there are more attention is being put onto, managing software bill of materials, making sure that they know all the risks around open source. But in essence, it's like driving safely on the highway. You don't only drive safely on the highway just because the police is controlling you. So you should do it anyway. SBOMs is not a new concept. It's been there at least the 20 years I've been in software composition analysis. But I think SBOMs today are much more extensive and it helps a company understand exactly what is in their code and if how the code is put together has any security issues that they need to look into, whether there are license obligations that they're not fulfilling. So it gives you a very transparent view of always knowing the status of your code. Being compliant is not something that happens after a product has been developed and is ready for being, distributed. It's something that should happen continuously. So at SCANOSS, we believe that companies should not only shift left, it's about starting left. It's from the really early stage of when you are incorporating open source. Then if you already at that stage are aware of potential risks, then you will always be up to date, always have an up-to-date SBOM, continuously. So good compliance is always having an up-to-date SBOM. At any day, any moment, anybody can check that everything we have in our code is up to date. It's compliant from legal perspective, always being up to date with all risks related to open source projects. So generically, the SCA solutions that have been out there for more than 20 years have all been proprietary. And that means that you are kind of locked into that company's development schedules. Feature requests is at the mercy of those vendors. And where SCANOSS is very different is that the scanner itself is open source. And then we focus on the intelligence around the data itself. So that's a big game changer, and it's something that enterprise customers at least have been asking for many years. Just give me the data and let me plug it in wherever I find that is natural or part of my CI/CD. It makes more sense to me as a company. I've been in the SCA space practically from its start, which is more than 20 years ago, when there was 2 vendors. And since there's been a few new vendors, and most of them have taken the same approach as the previous ones. Some have been, having better UI, some have had more or less coverage of snippet detection or languages. I think what SCANOSS is doing by having the tool itself being open source and only providing the intelligence around the data is very disruptive. We haven't seen that before. So identifying cryptography in your code has been relevant for many years for the use case of export compliance. And that is kind of getting revived again because of the geopolitical situations that we're in. But there is a very interesting new use case, which is quantum readiness. We see a lot of large companies starting to prepare themselves for the quantum area. And there you really need to know what cryptography you have, what kind of cryptography it is, the key lengths, so that you can protect yourself and maybe change some of your code so that you're ready. And when it comes to the use case around cryptography for quantum readiness, we know that Gartner is really incentivizing large enterprises to set aside substantial budgets so that they can prepare themselves accordingly, and that's a focus for many companies for 2026. We're already doing several projects with large enterprises in that area, and we are collaborating with large companies like IBM on the subject matter as well. So one advice to help companies managing open source risks, I would say that it's about starting where the code is being developed, and that's at the developer's desk. Make it easy for them to be compliant and make it easy for them to reduce the risks of using open source. So all the way left in the development cycle, integrated into their existing development tools. SCANOSS does that.